Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today I'm talking about credits, and more specifically, just how many credits do you actually need. And towards the end of the video I'll also discuss a couple of money making methods that will get you quite a huge volume of credits if that's what you actually need and want. The video overall will be quite new player focused, but hopefully it'll be quite interesting to all other players as well. I'm going to focus a little bit on ship builds, but do keep in mind that these aren't the best ship builds and they aren't probably optimal ship builds. Instead, the whole point here is to get a bit of an idea of just how much things are going to cost you to do your chosen activity. So really, credits are a very funny thing when it comes to Elite Dangerous. Despite what some people may say, for a lot of players, credits are a huge part of the game. Whilst it's true that you can do just about anything you actually want, right from the beginning, even in a Sidewinder, credits really do help, and the larger ships make things that much easier. And that's really what it comes down to, isn't it? I mean, for most people, the reason for wanting credits is of course for ships and for modules. It's a process of making your way through the game. And in many ways, there's basically two ways of actually looking at this. Firstly, there's the journey of getting to the ship. That's what the game is all about, and if you do it too quickly, you could well become bored of the game, because once you've got the ship, there might not be so much to do. The other way of looking at it, of course, is that the game doesn't actually begin until you have the ship you want. And the credit grind is perhaps an obstacle in the way of achieving that. Now, I kind of fall in between those two, but probably slightly more weighted towards finding credits as a bit of an annoyance and a gateway. Personally, I'm of the opinion that the game doesn't begin until you have the ship you want. But that said, both perspectives on the process or the journey through Elite Dangerous are equally valid. At the end of the day, you really don't need a huge ship to enjoy the game. Most things can be done with the most basic of ships, and even with a medium-sized ship, you can truly enjoy the game. For me, despite having had enough money for a very long time now, and also having had played the game since 2014, only recently started actually using an Anaconda. So whilst the big three ships are very good for playing the game, they're really not essential or necessary for the game as a whole. So with that in mind, let's take a look at a few ship builds and see just how much that may cost you. Again, do keep in mind that these are not necessarily optimal builds, and they're certainly not the best builds, but they will give us a bit of an idea of the cash required. So combat can be done in just about any ship within the game, but my go-to ship is the Vulture. Generally speaking, it's pretty cheap, and overall it certainly packs a punch for the price. Now, this is a PvE focused ship, so if you're going into resource extraction sites or doing some bounty hunting, this should do the job very nicely. You can see some red stats there over on the left hand side of the image, showing that I'm a bit over the power capacity for this ship, but with a little bit of engineering you can get that well within the limits. So a PvE combat focused ship then needn't cost you more than 20 million with a 1 million rebuy cost. If you like the more chilled gameplay though, and you're out for relaxation as well as exploration, then you would want either an Asp Explorer or, cheaper yet, a Diamondback Explorer. Now, a lot of people do use an Anaconda because that's got the best jump range, and it's also probably got the best versatility when it comes to exploration, but the Anaconda certainly isn't essential. Here then is my Asp Explorer build. Now, this one isn't optimised for jump range. Instead, I've gone for versatility here. It's got a pretty good jump range with engineering. It gets to 42 light years, but you can also see it's got a nice range of other modules on board. I carry a vehicle with me wherever I go. Also like to take a mining laser as well as a pulse laser. Now, the pulse laser isn't for combat. Instead, it's there just in case of the event anything ever crops up that needs a little bit of shooting. After all, once you're out there in the depth of space, and if you haven't got a weapon, then there's no going back to get one. You'll also notice I carry a mining laser, and that's for mining asteroids and collecting materials that can be used for FSD booth synthesis. Just for those occasions that I may get trapped inside a system that doesn't have any landable bodies, or at least landable bodies with the required materials. And do remember that you don't need a refinery for those types of materials. So a ship like this will cost you just under 28 million. If that's a bit of the high side for you, you could also go with a Diamondback Explorer and get out into the depths of space far cheaper. Again, you've got a little bit of versatility on the Diamondback Explorer here, but without that versatility you would of course have a slightly higher jump range. Keep in mind as well that these are not engineered ships. So then, you can certainly get out into deep space exploration with around about 12 million credits. Closer to home, and if you still like travelling around a bit, you may want to do some passenger missions, and this is one of the ways of making some good money that I'm going to talk about at the end of the video, so do remember this ship if you don't have a ship currently capable of taking passengers around. This is a Type 7, fully outfitted for carrying passengers, and with this you'll be able to carry around about 136 economy passengers. Now, whilst carrying passengers is not quite as profitable as it once was, you can still make a good amount of money for it. And you can see there that a Type 7 with the passenger loadout will set you back around about 24 to 25 million credits. Alternatively, you may want to do trade-in. Again, you can do this with a Type 7. It will cost you around about the same amount of money. You can see here, this build has a cargo capacity of around about 272 tons. If you want something cheaper on the other hand, something that can also carry a good amount of cargo, then you can go for a Type 6. Fully outfitted for cargo transport, this will set you back less than 3 million credits. For mission running then, you'd want either one of these ships or a combination thereof. Alternatively, you may want to do a bit of mining. You just need to modify one of these builds and the cost shouldn't be too different. For PvP, the story is probably very different, but I'm not into PvP, so I'm not really the best person to give advice on that. Ship build costs aside though, for PvP, it really is the rebuy there that does start to rack up. So as you can see then, the cost does vary somewhat between different activities, but pretty much you never need more than 30 million in order to get an ideal ship for any task within the game. And that 30 million would buy you the ship, plus give you plenty left over for a few rebuys. Of course, if you're going to get into trading, then you will need a little bit of additional capital on hand, and do remember, do keep some money spare for a rebuy of your ship, and keep enough money back to replace any cargo. So perhaps for many people who have been playing for quite a long time, 30 million is just a drop in the water, but in early game, and if you don't know too much about the game, it's certainly a bit of an obstacle to overcome. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes for some people, no matter how many credits you've got, you can always want more. And for some people, chasing those credits is a very enjoyable activity, just sitting back and watching those totals keep racking up. So whether you want your large ship, whether you want a medium-sized ship, or whether you just want to keep increasing the credit total, there are a few methods out there of making significant money. Now, of course, if you're the type of player who enjoys the journey from ship to ship, slowly building up money from a few thousand credits at a time, then just sit back and enjoy the ride. You probably won't be too interested in the following methods. And the fact is, regardless of what you do, you will eventually have enough money to get the ship you want. On the other hand though, if you're the type of player, a little bit like me, who feels the game doesn't begin until you actually have a decent ship, then there are a few ways of getting that money fairly quickly. Here's a few of those suggestions. Now, whether you're into exploration or not, contrary to early game times, exploration can now make you vast sums of money. In fact, so much so that there's a method out there, or a pathway out there, a route, whatever you want to call it, called the Road to Riches. And this is a pathway around the galaxy, around actually near inhabited space, that will get you a lot of money, quite a few 100 million in fact, by the time you're done. So just go to the website Alpha Orbital, and I'll link that in the video description below. There you can find a pathway that's the most optimal route around the galaxy, and it will give you a significant amount of money. You can see it in the column on the left there, scrolling a little bit fast at the moment, but I'll just pause, and you can see the distances really aren't all that great. Now, I've never actually done the Road to Riches myself, but it does seem a very easy way of making money. Another method that's been commonly used, and was used a huge amount up until very recently, is passenger missions. Now these have taken a big nerf because Frontier felt they were earning perhaps a little bit too money, and these were long-range passenger missions. Now not the long-range type that takes you thousands of light years across the galaxy, but rather those that you jump into a neighbouring system and have to spend maybe an hour in supercruise. It was possible to use these missions to make anywhere between 50 to 100 million credits an hour. Now whilst they have been nerfed quite significantly, in fact, you still can make quite good money from these. The way people were making money was to take economy class passengers, and those are the ones that have been nerfed, but the VIP passengers do still pay a lot, although you can't carry many of them in one go. But that said, it still really is well worth a look. Now I'll link below a couple of videos from some other YouTubers giving some more details on that particular method of money making. One is from Yemix, and there's also a few others there as well. Like I say, do keep in mind that the methods have been nerfed since those videos were made, but the general principle should still work. Another method, which again used to make huge volumes of money but again has been nerfed, are Skimmer Missions. Now these still can make quite a lot of money. Now there are systems out there which will make you a lot more money than others, But this one here was just a random system where I happened to stop in the station just to see what missions they had to offer. And you can see a couple of missions here, one paying nearly 500,000 credits, and the one just below that paying 1.4 million credits, although you need the cordial rank in order to unlock this. But for just 6th century skimmers, that's a lot of money and won't take you much time. If you want to do this in the fast way, then just make sure you accept missions to the same destination as well as the same base, and you can see both of these are exactly that. So with just a rank of cordial, it would be possible to make 2 million credits very quickly just for destroying 9 skimmers. You can stack these missions, of course, and if you have the rank of allied, then some of these missions will pay in the region of 3 to 4 million credits per mission. And of course, for a little bit of extra cash, then don't forget you can do the weekly community goals, and those can earn you a few tens of million each week. So I hope that answers the question of just how many credits you really need, and the truth is, as many as you want. You can find all the information that you need for this video below in the video description. That includes links to the ship build, which you may want to modify a little bit to suit your own needs, but they should give you a very good place to start. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.